Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa. I read and welcome to my channel, and today I have some romance recommendations for you. So I did make this video already, but I have even more adult romances for you. I have some contemporary, I have some paranormal, I have some fantasy, I have some harlequins, so let's just get to it. The first one is a super popular one, so I'm sorry if I'm recommending something you've already read, but that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I just fell in love with this story so much, and I can't wait to reread it at some point. But this one we're following Olive and Adam, and Olive, she is a PhD student, specifically in biology. She dated someone for a little while, but this guy that she dated likes her best friend, and her best friend really likes him as well, but for some reason her best friend is saying he's off limits, I can't date him because you dated him. And Olive's like, it doesn't matter, like, come on, go for it. But she refuses to date him, and so she convinces her that she's actually seeing someone and she's in a new relationship. And so when she pretends to go on this date, she actually is at the lab working. And then she sees her best friend there. She's like, oh no, I know what I'm gonna do. And so she decides to like kiss the first guy that she sees, and that is Adam. And Adam is a professor at this university, and it's what starts the narrative from there. Obviously, he's really shocked by the situation, but they kind of come to an agreement to fake date because she wants to continue the charade, so her friend will date this guy, and he needs a fake relationship in order to convince the university that he's not a flight risk. They think that he's gonna move on to another university, and so they're holding funds for him for his research, and so he asks her if she's willing to date him as well. So they have a weekly coffee date, and it's about them having some growing feelings while they're getting to know each other. And there's some comical situations that make the situation even more awkward but funny, and it's just a lot of fun. You really fall for Olive as a character. She is really inexperienced and awkward when it comes to love, and it's because she doesn't really understand feelings surrounding love quite yet, and it's kind of her self-discovery when it comes to romantic feelings and falling in love. And we love Adam as a character as well. As you can't tell, this is kind of like a Raylo fan fiction, but it reads like its own story, so I definitely recommend it. The next one I recommend is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is my first one by this author, and I can't wait to read more because I really liked this one. And we're following Poppy and Alex, and they're like best friends. They meet at university, and they just have a really good relationship and have a fun time together. Every year, go on a vacation together. Poppy loves traveling, and she works for a paper that, like a travel magazine, and so that's why she goes on all these trips. But they started this kind of tradition when they were in university and them traveling. So if you like reading about people going on different vacations and different locations, you'll definitely like this. But they haven't been talking for a little while, for like over a year, and it's because on their last trip something happened and we don't know what. And so Poppy convinces Alex to have one last chance to fix the relationship and go on another vacation. And so they do, and it's kind of about revealing their relationship from the very beginning. You get a lot of flashbacks, and then eventually learning what actually happened, and maybe they catch feelings. And so it's very, I felt like this was a very much like epic romance because it was very slow burn for these characters. They've known each other for so long, and they're just such good friends. And so if you like a slow burn friendship romance, then you'll definitely like this. The next one is Crushing It by Lorelei Parker, and this one we're following Sierra, and she is a gamer. Like, she is actually like a game developer, and I think she has her own company. And so she's really talented, but she gets really nervous talking in front of crowds, and this is essential for her job if she wants to pitch her projects at different conventions and stuff. So she needs to get over this fear, and her friend convinces her to go to this bar that has these like confession nights or something like that, where you go up front and talk to the audience. And it's a bit of a competition. And so she decides to do this, and what she does is she reads her diary from university and some embarrassing situations from that diary. And one of them is her confession of liking this guy named Tristan from university. And funny enough, Tristan's in the audience. And so the romance is kind of about her and Tristan maybe trying things out. There's also the guy who runs the bar. His name is Alfie. And it's about Sierra kind of getting over her fear, her trying to figure out her feelings for Tristan and Alfie. And I just really liked this. It was kind of unique. I liked reading about a game developer that is a woman in the industry. I think it's set in San Francisco, so the setting was really cool, and I just really like this contemporary romance, so here's a recommendation. The next one is my favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. This one, we are following Millie, and she is friends with a bunch of guys. It's kind of in the vein of New Girl, where it's one girl and a bunch of guys, but they're all really close friends, and they're all professors at a university. So I think she's in criminology, and all the guys maybe in science, if I remember correctly. But they hang out all the time, and they're kind of like a found family, and you really get that feel within this group. But Millie and Reed, one of the guy friends, have a half night stand, just like the title says. They have a night together, and it's very passionate, and they really have feelings for each other. But they have this one night, and feelings kind of develop. In the meantime, Millie and all the guys are setting up accounts, like on a dating app, because they all need to find dates. And so they set up these accounts, and Millie does too, but when Millie does it, she has a fake like persona with a different photo, and she ends up kind of chatting with Reed at the same time. In the midst of them having this kind of one night and feelings catching there, they're also kind of getting to know each other online. So there's kind of a bit of like catfishing in here. But in the end, I still really liked it. So if you like kind of like found families, and if you like kind of some angst in your romance, a will they or won't they, then maybe check this one out. The next one I have here is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This one's a lot of fun because it's set at a Renaissance fair. We're following Emily and Simon, and Emily is new to town. Her life is kind of like on the rocks because I think she like lost her job, and she had to end a relationship, and so she moves in with her sister who had an accident. Her sister and her niece were in a car accident, and so her sister has like a broken leg and stuff, so she comes to really help them out a lot, and she is willing to do this because she really needs a new start. So she comes and she kind of like falls in love with this town. But anyways, it's the summer and the Renaissance fair is happening, and her niece really wants to volunteer, and so she takes her to the meetings, and it comes out that she has to volunteer as well in order for her niece to volunteer. So she does. She becomes like the wench, or one of the wenches at the drinking hole or whatever at this Renaissance fair. This is about her and Simon is the one who runs the fair. He's definitely a grumpy hero. He has a lot of, I don't know if trauma is the right word for it, but he has some history when it comes to the Renaissance fair, some hard feelings and struggles because of it, and so he is really grumpy. He's kind of like dealing with some stuff. Emily and Simon butt heads, but eventually something happens. So if you like hate to love romance, if you like a summer romance, because it's definitely set in the summer, and if you like the idea of a Renaissance fair, then maybe check this one out. The next one is Fated by Rebecca Zanetti. This is the first in a super long paranormal romance, so if you want something to binge, this may be it. So Fated, we're following Kara and Talon. And Talon, he's like a vampire. So this world, there's like good vampires and bad vampires. And the good vampires, they live for like hundreds and hundreds of years. And they're constantly in conflict with the bad vampires. And the good vampires, they don't actually feed off humans, where the bad ones, they do. So they've been at war with each other for a long, long time. There's other paranormal creatures in this world. There's shifters, and I'm sure there's werewolves and things like that. But anyways, we're following Talon, and he's one of the good vampires, and he's come to take Kara, and that's because she's in danger. She has some magical abilities, and so does her daughter Janie. And he says the only way to protect you is to marry you. And so they kind of have this marriage of convenience. She's kind of really hesitant, obviously. because she doesn't know this guy. But it's also fated mates romance as well. He gets marked right away the first time he touches her, and so he knows that they're destined for each other. And so if you like a very campy and kind of silly paranormal story, where each book follows a different hero and heroine, it is fated mates. So there's definitely like a lot of alpha male tropes in here. Talon is definitely an alpha male, but it was just a lot of fun. You can't take it too seriously because it's kind of campy and over the top, and especially the world is a little bit over the top as well, but it was a lot of fun, so I recommend it. The next one I recommend is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I feel silly almost recommending this because I feel like everyone has read this before, but just in case you haven't, this is a fantasy romance. We are following Farah, and she is human. It's a fantasy world, and her town is on the edge of the fairy world, and her family's on hard times. She has to go hunting constantly. They have no money. They basically barely have any food. And one time she goes hunting, she kills a wolf. I'm almost positive it's a wolf. And she skins it, she sells what she can from it, and I think they eat some of it, and then it turns out it was actually a fairy. And so someone from the fairy world comes in, his name is Talon, and takes her because a life for a life. And so she doesn't really have any choice. And this first one is like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So he's kind of like the Beast character, and she is the Belle character. But he's a fairy. His face is covered with a mask because he is cursed, Tamlin. And he needs to break the curse, and he needs to fall in love in order to do that. So, like I said, it's a fairy tale. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So if you like fairies, if you like fantasy, if you like romance, you'll probably like this. I have the whole series here. I recommend all of them. The second one is A Court of Mist and Fury. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. The last one in this trilogy is A Court of Wings and Ruin. They have a Christmas novella, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and then A Court of Silver Flames is the latest one that just came out. And I'm pretty sure she's writing more in the series. So if you like fantasy romance, this is definitely a recommendation I have for you. The next one is a Brenda Jackson short story collection, actually, and it's called Forever Mine. So the short stories in here is Sweetest Taboo, Cupid's Bow, and Perfect Moments. Personally, the Sweetest Taboo and the Perfect Moments were my favorite stories from this collection. The Sweetest Taboo was this romance between our heroine who's black and our hero who's white, and that's why it's called The Sweetest Taboo. They feel like maybe they can't be together because of their differences, but they just can't seem to help each other. This has been my favorite story by Brenda Jackson so far, actually. I gave that one 5 stars. And then The Perfect Moments was just like a really sweet romance where it was kind of a marriage of convenience because it's a nanny romance. He works all the time. He has 2 daughters. His nanny has been helping him out, obviously, but they really like grow to kind of fall for each other or really care for each other. And she proposes this, that maybe we should get married so I can just help you out and keep taking care of your daughters. And it's them kind of maybe considering this. And it was just like so sweet. The second one wasn't quite my favorite, but I still recommend the collection, especially for Sweetest Taboo and Perfect Moments. So I definitely recommend it. And lastly, my last recommendation is another Brenda Jackson, and that is Star of His Heart. This is a first in a series. She doesn't write the entire series, but it is like a Hollywood series following different like actors and singers and things like that. And this one we're following Ethan and Rachel, and Ethan is an actor and he's new on set. He's kind of like the hot new actor, and it is like I think a medical drama that the show is. And Rachel, she is hair and makeup and I think wardrobe. She has a really important job. She really cares about her job so much. She is from the industry, like her family have a name for themselves, but she was like determined to make her own name and not rely on her parents to do well in the industry. And she takes huge pride in her work. And there's always been this rule to not date on set. So when Ethan and Rachel kind of like have intense chemistry, it's hard to deny their feelings. And they kind of hide their relationship for a little while. She's also the type of person who does not want to be part of the limelight. She just wants to do her job behind the scenes. And so it's about their relationship starting, it being hidden, and then maybe things coming out later. And so I did really like this when I read it, so I definitely recommend. And that is it. Those are all my romance recommendations for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to know if you've read any of these books before. If you have, comment down below. If you have any romances to recommend, I would greatly appreciate that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not done so. You can follow me on Goodreads and Instagram, and you know what? I want you to keep reading. Bye.